Welcome, everyone. Welcome, people of the pirate history classroom discussion post. Discussion. My name is Andy, and today we are going to bring you a nice, wonderful little pirate history podcast. We're going to be covering my personal favorite character that we have gone over throughout this semester so far, a fellow by the name of Andrew Ranson. Before I get into it too much, I am joined by my two wonderful co-hosts, gentlemen. Yo ho ho and a bottle of fun. What's up? How are you guys doing today?
Hi there. I'm Jack. I'm one of Andy's good pals going back to middle school, and I also love history. So I'm very honored to be on this podcast.
Hi, my name is Deshaun. I know absolutely nothing of history, but I'm here to join my friends.
You don't know any history.
Not at all.
Man literally just spawned yesterday.
Damn right.
You don't know one event. Well, then I guess this first question going into it might be a tad redundant. What do you fellas know about pirate history and just in general also, and then maybe more specifically because we're covering St. Augustine pirate history? Do you know anything about the history of St. Augustine? But just start with, you guys know anything about pirates? What's your knowledge at on like a scale of 1 to 10 of piracy?
I'd say I'm at like a 5 or 6. If the 5 is like the average person's knowledge of pirates, kind of like based off like pop culture, then I'd probably put myself at like 7. I know a little bit about pirates. But when we talk pirates, I'm mainly referring to like early modern period pirates. Like, don't ask me about no like Mediterranean 400 BC type of pirates. I'm more of a flintlock sort of guy. You feel me?
I absolutely feel you. I totally get that, and I totally understand. And, hey, who knows? Maybe by the end of this episode, we'll have you bumped up to a 7, all right? And Deshaun, what about you? What do you know about pirate history?
Honestly, going with his scale, I'd have to say probably around a 2 or 3. I don't know much about pirates. I've been over to St. Augustine a few times. They told me some stuff, but I don't have the best memory.
You have the rudimentary pirate knowledge.
They were on a ship.
They had boats.
They had boats.
I know that much.
Cannons, boats, yeah, that's about it.
I think they had hooks. Some of them had hooks, maybe a parrot, something along those lines.
I wish sky pirates were real.
Sky pirates, well, I think, this semester so far we've mostly been covering water pirates.
Yeah.
But I think if I went far enough, like, in the study of this subject specifically, I think we would eventually get to sky pirates.
I know there was a film based about them made in, like, 1916 or something, like, and it was mainly special effects and stuff. I'm sure, like, that brief
They
period,
didn't have actual pirates in the sky in this film?
I think, well, they were actors, Andy.
Right, but it was special effects. They didn't, like, have a big, like, an air.
I don't think so. I mean, like, I feel like there must have been a brief period with the whole Zeppelin shtick that everyone had going on where guys are like, oh, yeah, we could raid these. We're getting stuff.
Yeah. Led Zeppelin was pretty big back then.
That's true.
We're going to get right into it because, I'm sure Professor has a lot going on today. He doesn't want to just hear us babble nonsensically this entire time. And cool. The source I had pulled up just got unpulled up the second I opened it, so we'll be right back in 1 second. We're back. Sorry about that. I know it's a tad unprofessional. Please don't dock any points. I'm trying my best. So this first source we're looking at, it's a little story by the name of Andrew Ranson, 17th century pirate. There's a question mark there at the end, so who knows? There might be a little mystery here.
Ooh, never heard of him.
Never heard of Andrew Ranson.
Never.
Well,
never.
This is the topic for you.
More like Andrew Ranson.
Yeah. It's Andrew Chris Hansen.
Have a seat on the Bowery.
Yeah. What are you doing here? I'm just here to pillage some silver.
Trade goods legally and pay tariffs.
I'm here to pay my tariffs. Well, we have a message here.
I want to smuggle rum through the middle passage.
It says here, yo ho ho and a bottle of rum. What does that mean? All right, we're gonna get into it. By Andrew Ranson, 17th century pirate, by J. Leach Wright. I don't know if I'm saying that. I feel like it might not be J. Leach Wright Jr., but it's fine. It probably is that. We're going to read the first two paragraphs, and then we're going to get right into it. So, I will start with my narration. The latter half of the 17th century saw the swashbuckling heyday of piracy in the West Indies. Here, English, French, and Dutch buccaneers and audacious seafarers claiming no nation. So those would be like the people today who like they get pulled over and they declare themselves like global citizens.
Oh yeah, sovereign citizens. Yeah, those guys rule.
Citizens. Yeah, exactly. So that's those guys, which is epic. That's like being the coolest form of pirate. Roam the seas almost at will, delighting particularly in preying on galleons. I hope I'm saying flying the Spanish. Okay, cool. Flying the Spanish flag. I read more than I speak. Flying the Spanish flag and in sacking and ransoming cities along the Spanish Main. It is true that the policy of European nations was changing from encouraging or winking at buccaneer activities to supporting legitimate trade with Spanish America, and some serious efforts were made to curb these seagoing marauders. Nevertheless, this was of little consolation to the inhabitants of Panama, which was ravished by the Englishman Henry Morgan in 1671, or to those of Maracaibo, which was destroyed by the Dutchman, Ololanes, that's not right, in 1667. Lolanes, I don't know, something like that. In 1667, or to those of Veracruz, which was surprised by the Frenchman, the Sieur de Gramont in 1683. In this same period, similar fates befell many other cities, and their hapless residents endured unspeakable indignities. St. Augustine, though, not so promising a prize as many other Spanish cities, was not overlooked by the buccaneers. Florida's principal city, situated athwart the Bahama Channel, was little more than a military outpost, guarding the return route of the annual plate fleet and denying the strategic peninsular region to any foreign nation. Here, agriculture did not flourish, no valuable metals or raw materials were produced or exported, and commerce was at a minimum. In fact, Florida was dependent on an annual subsidy or situado sent from Mexico to help defray the cost of government and to pay the permanently undermanned garrison. But because this city of about 1,000 inhabitants with its stores, churches, and fort offered some chance for plunder, and because the city did not appear to be too difficult to surprise and overpower, the buccaneers several times included it on their pillaging itineraries. So that was the first two paragraphs. What do we think of that, fellas?
So what I'm
any
hearing
intro
is
thoughts?
that since the first European settlement, northern Florida has just had absolutely nothing to do. Like, this has been a dead zone since St. Augustine.
Yeah,
that's crazy, man. Things never change. Jacksonville sucks. There's nothing to do. And the first settlement here sucks. There's nothing to do. Imagine you're a garrison guy, and it's like you want to go to the one tavern in town. No, I got kicked out last week. I'm going to play checkers with myself.
It's the global capital of the world of nothing ever happens.
Seriously.
Yeah. But I mean,
besides pirate raids.
Besides pirate raids, which are epic, which we will be getting. It's not if you're there, the only thing that happens is pirate raids, and that's maybe the worst thing. It's not great. You don't want to be the pirate raided. Deshaun, what do you think about that? Them first two paragraphs. Any thoughts before we ask a question or two?
So far, like Jack said, it's literally a dead zone. There's nothing to do over there.
So
you can't just parrot me, dude.
This
can't go. This will not be ignored.
Yeah, Deshaun, this is a college project, so I'm not really supposed to plagiarize in it.
We're gonna pillage you, dude.
Dude, I have terrible memory.
We're pillaging your house.
We're gonna pillage you, dude. I'm gonna steal your doubloons.
Not my booty, please.
All right. Don't be crass. This is a school project. So we'll start off. Why do you? So we discussed there's not as much going on, but one thing that it did note at the end is that something that was going on was pirate raids, was buccaneers, privateers, etc. deciding to come on over, check it out. Why do you guys think Florida would be a valuable hotspot for pirates? Any context?
Well, it's very close to the Caribbean, which of course was a gigantic trade center of rum, sugar, very much, et cetera, et cetera. The Spanish are coming up. I imagine, I don't think they're stopping at Florida for supplies necessarily, but they're in the vicinity. So you might as well just kind of hang out there until you see some guy coming up from Cuba or, something from that range, and then you can eventually raid them. So it's like, all right, well, we're here. We'll attack St. Augustine before we head down to, Jamaica, whatever.
Yeah, very good, man. Yeah, you're doing my job for me here. You explained a couple very good points. Sean, you have anything to throw in there? Why would pirates want to hit up Florida, St. Augustine, etc., when they're going on their merry way?
Maybe because it's an area they don't really know much of. They want to see what's around over there, if there's anything that they could find useful or what they could need.
Yeah, so the spirit of exploration, maybe they were hungry, maybe they were stopping in for some grub. Florida being the, sort of like a Whataburger function for these pirate people. It's late at night, you're trying to get home, but you want to stop for some grub. That's a good point. Yeah, I would just also throw in another big factor for why this would be an important place to sort of want to be around is it offers you a nice little sort of shortcut to get into the Gulf of Mexico. Because it could be. If you can't go through Florida, you got to go around Florida, and going around a whole coast, that sort of opens you up to potential turmoil. And another thing, the text itself sort of outlined this, but I'm more just using this to segue into the other cool stories I know because I'm so smart. A reason St. Augustine specifically would be such a high target is because, like they said, they didn't really have much shit there in the way of like defenses or like like stronghold stuff.
You said
like that.
Permanently undermanned garrison.
Exactly. It's just like this settlement that's set up. It's a little underdeveloped, but they do have stuff. And as a pirate, you are always on the lookout for stuff.
Yeah.
So that brings me to two fellas that I want to cover just briefly because these are some of the paragraphs we're skipping, but I felt like it was very interesting. I wanted to include it. You fellas know anything about two characters by the name of Francis Drake and or Robert Searle?
Francis Drake, absolutely. I've heard that name a few times.
Yeah.
My buddy Landon is absolutely obsessed with the guy. I do know he did a lot of work for the Spanish, and also the guy from Uncharted is related to him.
Yeah.
That's all I really know, but I think you were an Xbox guy. I wasn't a PlayStation guy. I just vaguely knew that.
I did have a PlayStation. I actually sold my Xbox to buy a PlayStation, and I did play Uncharted.
Very nice.
Unfortunately, I believe he was Nathan Drake in Uncharted. I don't think his name.
No, but he was related to Francis Drake. He thought he was related to the Explorer. Yeah. I swear.
Well, you know what? I just got schooled. I didn't pay attention to the story. I just like climbing the rocks.
I can't believe you. Fake fan.
Deshaun, you familiar with either of these characters, these fellas?
The only one I can think of would be Drake, and currently, I've only heard of him a few times during school and from a few buddies, but don't know anything about him. I want to learn
just
more
your buddies were talking about Francis
piracy.
Drake. Yeah, I heard from the grapevine about Francis Drake and the raid on St. Augustine. So, these two fellas, they're like a nice little prologue to what we're about to talk about, the main meat and bones of this. Do you guys have any guesses as to what Francis Drake and Robert Searle might have done in Florida, what they might be famous for?
Well, I imagine, considering we've discussed pirate raids on St. Augustine, and then you brought up these gentlemen, I imagine they did not play nice with the inhabitants of St. Augustine.
Oh, indeed they did not, my friend. It turns out that if you're passing through St. Augustine as a pirate, the number one thing that you're going to want to do is just burn the entire thing to the ground.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this Francis Drake guy, basically what he does, he's like, oh, wow, so I found this little area in St. Augustine. It seems like there's a lot of good stuff maybe in here, but it seems like they don't have a lot of defenses. Has anyone even tried pillaging here? So he goes over. I think he does some sort of maneuver where he like makes it seem like he's just another Spanish ship coming in to like, hey, I'm just coming to dock. And then when he's right up there against him and his dudes, they start blasting. They go out, they go in, they kill everyone, they destroy everything, they burn it all to the ground, they pillage their stuff. The next day or however soon after, they're like, all right, that was fun. Let's get the heck out of here. And then he goes home and he tells all his buddies about, hey, I'm the king of St. Augustine over there. I torched that shit. Sorry. And then so the people in St. Augustine, they're like, okay, that was rough. That was an unfortunate occurrence. Let's keep our heads up. Okay, they killed everyone. They destroyed everything. They took all our stuff. All that remains upon our walkways is mounds of rubble and ash. let's keep our chin up, fellas. Okay, we can rebuild. Okay, and that's what they did. They picked themselves up by their bootstraps. They tried rebuilding, and 8 years later, the exact same thing happened again.
We built this city on it's just cannon fire.
They were like laying the very last brick.
This is a big goofy smile. We did it, guys.
You know what? It was 8 years of grueling, tragic, horrific labor and mourning, but we're finally back at 100% capacity. And you just
Final statements, and then it just immediately goes to cannon fire.
Why do I hear chanting? Why do I hear men screaming R?
Just you're at the tavern. It's just like, man, I'm so glad I assisted in rebuilding this tavern, so no, I'm not kicked out anymore. Just cannon fire just blows it to pieces.
Yeah. So Robert Searle, he comes in, does it all over again. They come in like the dead of night. They just start killing everyone, and again, they take everything. They don't even need to torch everything, but they just torch everything, for fun to keep up the tradition. They head back, and the people in St. Augustine are like, "All right." We will build a fort or something. So that's what they do. They built the Castillo de San Marcos, which we have been to on numerous occasions because it's fun to sit down there and talk about funny stuff.
That's very true.
Actually, I did the tour in there one time, and they launched a cannon and everything, and they told us about some guys who came in the bay and got their heads cut off or something.
I think that was probably the Huguenots.
Maybe.
Because my dad did the same sort of shtick with me. He told me, he's like, oh yeah, and then the French Huguenots, they left, and then they went on this beach, and their boat kind of got crashed or something, and then the French Catholics came and they killed, or it was maybe the French or the Spanish. It's like, yeah, and they killed all of them, and I was like, oh, okay, and I'm 8.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, so Castillo de San Marcos, fun place. Deshaun, are you a frequenter?
I've been over there a few times. I wouldn't say super frequent, but every maybe 4 to 6 months.
Not a regular.
Not a regular. I wish I could go more
You've
often.
been to St. Augustine once or twice with us, I think, right?
Yeah.
We've taken you to the fort.
We got to go again, but yeah.
We will.
It's always
again.
a good winter spot.
It'll be a nice place to go after this, because then you'll be ensnared by the history of it all. You'll feel a stronger connection to it, and that's one of the beautiful things about learning history, folks. And in the interest of time, I'm going to begin with the next few paragraphs as soon as I figure out.
No, this guy doesn't know how to use nothing. You would have been such a bad pirate. You're like, how do I tie the riggings?
Okay.
Where's the cannonballs?
Okay, no, I was right. Never mind. Just the sentence started off strange. We're back, and we're going to get right into the next couple paragraphs of this discussion, starting with Ranson, who added to the already considerable woes of Florida governors, was born in Newcastle, England, around 1650, the son of Edward and Barbara Ranson. Relatively little is known of his early life. He came to the West Indies in his early 20s, either in England or in the West Indies. He married and lived sometimes at New Providence Island, sometimes at Jamaica, and possibly elsewhere. Ranson was a seaman, but whether he was merely an honest mariner, conscientiously plying his trade, or a ruthless and experienced pirate would be a matter of heated controversy in the future. Fun little debate. Ranson had made voyages to the Spanish Main, to Spanish West Indian Islands, and in the late 1670s had been captured and imprisoned at Havana. The offense no doubt was smuggling. As will be seen, his subsequent career in Florida gives a rather curious twist to the pirate history of that province. During the several years preceding 1684, Ranson and his wife were living at New Providence Island in the Bahamas. In that year, however, the island's governor supposedly granted Captain Thomas Jingle of New England.
Yo ho ho!
Is there something risible by the name Thomas jingle.
It's a little festive is all.
Have a holy jolly Christmas.
We're gonna pillage your castle this year. I don't know if there'll be snow. There won't, because it's Florida in the West Indies. But we're gonna burn down your entire city.
Yeah, you can make an ash snowman.
Ashty the snowman.
Was a pillaged, tortured soul.
We got the one remaining friar in town that we hadn't beheaded to marry him to Mrs. Snowman, and then we beheaded him.
And then we melted the snowman. Granted Captain Thomas Jingle of New England a letter of marque. I don't think it's marque.
Marquis, my friend.
There's only one E. It looks like Mark. To
Your letter of marque, my buddy over here.
Mark, my man.
Dear Captain Thomas Jingle, you can go ahead, Mark.
Captain Thomas Jingle and his friend Mark to raid Spanish possessions in retaliation for the recent Spanish attack on New Providence. At the last minute, Jingle's 5 vessels were joined by a recent arrival from Charleston, one of those which had participated in the attack on St. Augustine the preceding year. Ooh. Then, with Ranson as steward aboard one of the vessels, all 6 set sail for the west coast of the Florida Peninsula. It is impossible to trace their exact course, but while cruising, they captured off the Florida Keys the Spanish frigate Plantanera, sent from St. Augustine to Veracruz to collect the Situado. They surprised a Spanish scout vessel sent out from Havana to seek information about pirates, perhaps themselves, and part of Jingle's party, led by Indians, marched inland on the Gulf Coast, unsuccessfully trying to surprise a nearby Spanish city. 5 additional corsairs joined Jingle at Appalachie Bay, and it was quickly decided that their joint force was enough to overpower St. Augustine. Those Englishmen who had participated in the fruitless attack in 1683 undoubtedly helped formulate plans for this more ambitious raid. Even so, the elements did not favor the new design.
Ooh.
A turbulent storm came up,
Oh, Lord.
scattering 5 vessels, all 5 of them, and though the remainder were not far from St. Augustine, the diminished forces were reluctant to attack. Cowards, at least for the time being, they resolved to bypass Florida's capital and to land elsewhere to procure desperately needed provisions. So that's going back to the Whataburger late night stop thing we're talking about. They were
Very
stuck.
true.
They were out of gas. They were going, okay, we can either, we're not going to make it to a gas station. Whataburger's right here. Let's get some snacks. So we're going to stop there for the discussion before we get to the specific pointed questions. Any thoughts on what we just read, fellas? What are you thinking?
You mentioned a fruitless assault in 1683. Was
Yes.
that on St. Augustine?
I do believe, yes.
Okay,
yes.
so this was like the 3rd attack, and this one didn't go so well, or was this the 2nd attack?
So this is like, so we had Francis Drake and Robert Searle or whatever, and theirs went well. They had success. They got what they wanted. Then these fellas, they wisen up. They start building their fort, and I think that's when the attacks start going awry. That's when things get a little worse for them.
Okay.
And so this Andrew Ranson guy. He's joining Captain Thomas Jingle in this new bold raid attempt on St. Augustine, and they're getting these guys who came from this former raid, and it's kind of funny. They're sort of They're like, okay, what's going to give us a leg up? Let's get these strategists who came up with the plan for the last raid. But you think about it, it's like, well, the last raid didn't work.
Yeah.
So, that could be some slight foreshadowing, which leads me to my first question. Fellas, how do you think Captain Thomas Jingle's raid is going to go now that they're all washed up, scrounging for food, etc.?
Probably not good. They're hungry. Their morale is down. No one's ready to really throw their lives down on the line. They're down like half their fleet, it sounds like. What do you think, Deshaun?
What do you think, Deshaun?
Honestly, I don't think they're gonna go too. I don't think the plan's gonna go too well. I feel like they're just gonna land over there, and then things are just gonna go haywire.
Gonna go haywire?
Yeah.
Go haywire.
What do you think is going to happen to Andrew Ranson, guys? Got any predictions?
I think he will live a nice, happy life.
I hope so. Deshaun?
I think he's just straight up gonna die.
Don't say that.
That's so rude.
Okay, yeah. So the next couple paragraphs, it just goes into people talking about, some of the less than nice things Andrew Ranson and the Captain Thomas Jingle crew did, all sort of compounding evidence to this idea that maybe, just maybe, this guy might be a pirate of some sort. He might not be the honest mariner he's claiming to be, but that's fine. We're going to get into the next bout of paragraphs. So what happens is, we'll see you when we find the next couple paragraphs. All right, we're back. So unfortunately, you guys, your predictions, they weren't exactly correct. What happens is this raid doesn't exactly go as planned. They all go off course. They all get separated. A lot of them get captured. A lot of them, it's a rough affair. Okay, it doesn't go well for them. And now Andrew Ranson and many of his men have currently been imprisoned and awaiting trial for piracy, which, it's not great to be a captured pirate waiting for trial. If they think you're a pirate, it's probably going to go not great for you. So that leads us to the start of our next reading. Okay. Yes. The threat to St. Augustine had now abated. Her residents were able to breathe more freely and to dig up their buried silver. The Indians hurriedly called in from St. Mark's to aid in the defense were no longer needed. They didn't even need the Indians. The captured Englishmen were led back to the capital and under intensive interrogation. This story loves alliteration. Freely supplemented by a few good turns on the rack, gave incriminating testimony. I actually can't read. I shouldn't be teaching things. They readily disclosed that the 11 vessels gathered at Appalachie Bay had planned a descent on St. Augustine and that only a storm had thwarted their design, at least temporarily. A few admitted that they had participated in the unsuccessful attack, so we had some narcs. Ooh. The weakest link, dude. You set up a raid, it fails. You go up to these new guys. You're like, hey, here's how we're going to do it perfectly. It doesn't go well, and you're like, oh, we did it before, and they're also doing it. Please let us go.
Please. Like, you're all going to die. Come on.
I know. That makes me so sick to my stomach. Deshaun, doesn't that just sicken you?
It just upsets me, man. I'm disappointed.
Deshaun, the kind of dude to tell the police that we were going to raid St. Augustine, the constabulary or whatever.
Dude, we should raid St. Augustine.
These two did it. It wasn't me.
This is This is an admissible statement in court.
I don't know these guys.
Deshaun openly told me tonight, he said, we're going to raid St. Augustine. We're going up there with flintlocks. It's all going down. We're taking the silver.
That was a myth.
Nah, he really said that, though.
Satire.
Okay. Unsatire.
This is a project, man. A few admitted that they had participated in the unsuccessful attack on St. Augustine the previous year. Others told what they knew of the newly founded Scottish settlement of Stewartstown. South of Charleston, many revealed the plans and whereabouts of notable pirates, and almost all named Andrew Ranson as their leader. Most narked on man in human history.
Good Lord.
It's like they said it together. Instead of like everyone saying, I'm Spartacus, it's just everyone at the same time going, Spartacus!
That's him.
Spartacus!
Right there. Damn, I feel so bad for my boy.
I just wanted some good, clean fun.
Even without the damning indictments of his fellow crewmen, evidence against Ranson as an experienced pirate leader, and a rather brutal one at that, was overwhelming. Ooh. The Spanish mariner, Miguel Ramon, was now in St. Augustine after an arduous journey, furnished additional proof at the trial. He had been ordered, he said, by the governor of Havana to reconnoiter the Florida coast, beginning with the Keys, and to be on the lookout for pirates who had recently passed Havana. Excuse me. Ate a lot before we started. I was stressed out. Near Key Biscayne, Ramon sighted pirate vessels, but in the resulting engagement, Ramon himself was captured, and he and his crew were tortured for information about nearby towns, how much gold and silver they had, etc. That's a big one for pirates. While Ramon was being thus ill-used, another ship, piloted by Ranson, had come alongside, and Ranson had joined in the sport by repeatedly hitting Ramon with a stick until he was stunned and, for good measure, had threatened to cut his head off.
It's a stick. This guy is such like a baby. Yeah. I got beat with a stick. He was really mean.
I was stunned. It's like
That's
when
so
a bird
funny whenever
hits a
you read that,
door.
like a historical manuscript. What does that even mean? It's like, I'm stunned.
Yeah.
Like, you just sitting there like, duh.
Oh man. Okay.
What a wuss.
What a wimpy little.
He hit me.
Yeah, I mean, the threatening to cut his head off, that might have been a little far in my book.
yeah,
I wouldn't
maybe.
personally pull pranks like that. But, you know,
I don't know.
Ramon, who was finally set free on the Keys and by a circuitous route, made his way to St. Augustine, accused Ranson of being one of the most dangerous and experienced pirates in these parts. In addition to Ramon's testimony, Spanish crewmen of the Plantanera asserted that Ranson was one of those who robbed their ship and who in multifarious ways mistreated its crew. So to put it bluntly, he was caught in 4K. For the Zoomers at home, okay, this is like being caught in 4K, okay. He's done. It's over for him.
I believe this, if we were to phrase it in even further slang, if you will, he would say, a gentleman caught a clip of him going all crash out mode.
Yeah. He's cooked.
He's cooked. He's done for.
Yeah. That's the new one. That's what they're all. He's cooked.
Cooked
fellas.
is old. I don't know what you're talking about. Cooked is like 2 years now.
I found it 3 hours ago.
Ooh. Old. You old geezer, dude.
Governor Juan Marquez Cabrera considered the evidence conclusive. Ranson's companions were sentenced to perpetual hard labor, which later reduced to 10 years. Saul Goodman lawyer, big dub.
Nice.
While Ranson, as ringleader, was condemned to be publicly garroted at the base of the gallows. What do we know about garroting, fellas? Am I saying that right?
I think it's garrote, but
garroting, yeah,
that's
that's
like a dude like puts a string behind your throat. So I don't. Did they just like get a dude to like pull up on him with a piano string or something?
So you fellas know how, being hanged, it's one of the less great ways to go, right?
I mean, if the guy knows what it's doing, it should be instant.
Well, see, here's the thing. In hanging, it should be incident. They drop you, it just snaps your neck. This one, they're mad at you. So they start you on the ground. They like rise the rope up. They like slowly lift you by the neck with the rope, and then they tighten the rope with a crank. They go, and so they just tighten it until like it's over. Like your head just explodes, bro. It's rough. So that's what this guy is set to transpire. So it's looking a little rough for him. He can maybe appeal, but. I
don't know, man.
I don't know if the Supreme Court is going to hear this one. Before the scheduled date of execution, he was confined in the chapel of the new and only partially completed Castillo de San Marcos. Despite his repeated protestations that he had been convicted unjustly, which that is hilarious.
12 dudes is like, yeah, that's him. You beat a man with a stick to the point where he was stunned. I'm sorry, you're not beating that case.
Your entire crew, too. Every one of them is like, yeah, we're pirates. He's the main pirate.
He's the worst.
Yeah, that man along the wall. Yeah, that's him. He did it. He did all of it.
They all just point at the same exact time, dude. It's like, it wasn't me, dude. I don't know what to tell you. That he had come ashore under orders to kill merely a few wild cattle and to obtain water, and that he had surrendered willingly. Preparations for the execution were methodically continued. So they were like, all right.
you were looking for supplies? Oh, okay.
Yeah, please face the rope. In the short time remaining, Ranson, who was a Catholic, which, of course, sought consolation.
Wait, wasn't he English?
I don't know. I think he's from. Well, no, yeah, he was.
Yeah, then he would have the 1600s. He probably would have been. Did he convert just to fit in or something?
I don't know. Maybe he was like really banking on these. Like, dude, they love Catholicism down here.
They love it. They're like, dang, this English boy, he's Catholic as fuck. He's Catholic as hell. Dang.
It's like in The Mummy when the mummy is attacking the Jewish guy and he rips off the
Star of David.
The Star of David, and there's a crucifix under it or whatever.
And and the mummy's like, our slaves, yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically what he did. Sought consolation from the Virgin Mary and from Perez de la Mota, chaplain at the Castillo and commissary of the Inquisition.
Ooh.
But the denials and beseeching of Ranson were to no avail. Tough bozo. In October or early November 1684, Spanish soldiers solemnly escorted him from the chapel to the gallows. Placed conspicuously at the foot of the gallows was the There's that. What did we say was Garrett? Garrot.
Yeah.
Made even more forbidding by a silently awaiting executioner. A mixed gathering of soldiers from the Presidio, Franciscan friars, from the nearby convent, and inhabitants of the city mutely gazed with mixed emotions as the executioner, flanked by 12 soldiers, dexterously fitted the noose around this arch-pirate's neck and slowly began to twist the rope. 1 turn, 2, 3, 4. So the crank is going, it's going. He's done for. The cords relentlessly tightened around Ranson's neck. His writhing body twisted and then slumped. In the background, friars began to chant, and church bells began to toll for the departed soul. The work of the executioner had been done, but to make doubly sure, he gave the rope an additional turn, and it snapped! Our boy, the main character, plot armor pulled through. Ranson's limp body fell to the ground, and LaMotta and other Franciscans quickly rushed to the scene. They examined Ranson and made the astonishing discovery that the chanting for his soul was premature. He was breathing. This startling news spread quickly through the onlooking crowd, and above excited murmurings was heard an articulate cry, "A la Iglesia," to the church. LaMotta, believing a miracle had saved Ranson, nimbly climbed to the top of the gallows, exhorted 3 of his Franciscan companions to pick up the limp body and to take it to the nearby convent, and threatened the Spanish guard with God's wrath should they interfere.
Listen, we're taking this body. You mess with them, you're done. Hell, instant. Don't even touch it.
I'm going to pull that one out if I'm in an
God's
altercation.
wrath.
God is going to get you.
Dude, they were doing that during like the 1641 Irish Rebellion. Like these some Protestants were about to kill this dude's kid, and the priest was like, "I swear to God, you do it. You are going to face God's wrath," and it helped.
And we're gonna see how that comes into play here in just a minute. Before Governor Cabrera and the other dumbfounded spectators fully realized what was happening, Ranson was safely within the convent walls, fervently clutching a rosary, tears streaming down his cheeks, which, if he wasn't a Catholic before, by God, he's a Catholic now. So, that's pretty much the climax of this whole tale. What did you fellas think of that? Wasn't that something?
That was sick. That was like Malcolm X converting to Islam in jail, but for a pirate.
I'm not gonna lie, that was actually a little crazy. I didn't expect not only the rope to snap, but for someone to pretty much say, "You touch him, you die." By God's wrath.
Yeah, hitting someone with the God's wrath card, and they're like, "All right, dude, chill,
take it down.
Not God's wrath, okay? Relax, take him. He smells." So yeah, that's pretty crazy. He lived. Our boy pulled through. You know, he may be a pillaging pirate. He may be stunning people with sticks. He may be pillaging and burning and slaughtering. But you know what? He had that rosary, so God came through. And now we're going to get to the discussion questions. So a big thing that we're going to see in the following text is going to be regarding the church is very, very confident that this event was a miracle. And their position is, we saw this with our own 2 eyes. God wants this man to live. He is going to live. And of course, you know, the officials in St. Augustine, they're like, can we please kill him? Can we please just murder him? It's all we want. He was so close to dead. The executioner got greedy. He would be dead. So, here's the first question. Do you guys personally believe this event to be a miracle? Or do you think it was maybe the work of faulty rope? And then, following that, how do you think this seemingly miraculous event is going to change the course of Ranson's prosecution? How much power do you think the church is going to have here to say, no, we want it our way? Do you think the government's going to overtake them? What do you think is going to happen here, fellas?
I think it's hard to discern between a miracle and, luck in this regard. To be fair, an executioner, his entire job was killing people. I feel like he did the crank an extra turn. He knew it probably would have held. So, I don't know, dude. He was doing that whole Hail Mary shtick before he was the whole rope broke. I feel like there's a decent case, but we have no way of knowing. As for the prosecution, I don't know, dude. The whole wrath of God thing is a little hard to overturn in court. That's a big one.
Yeah, it's rough to beat that case. Deshaun, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen to Andrew Ranson?
So I personally believe, that is I do believe that would be luck. The guy that was doing the execution overturned it, and it was just a faulty rope. And because of that, the people in the church are probably thinking, "Oh my God, he's God sent," you know. The guy just beat someone with the stick, stunned them, and so they're just not going to.
Just a quick stunning.
Everyone makes mistakes.
And so they're probably going to. Part of me thinks that the church is going to be like, okay, he's perfectly fine. This is God's message. Everybody else is just like, let's kill him. I don't care. Just kill him. So I think that it's going to be a good fight between the people in the church and the people that actually want him dead.
That's a good point. That so are you like godless? Is there no light in your life? Is that sort of where you're?
That's
coming
big
from?
talk coming from you.
No. I love God. So yeah, we have Jack who thinks, who knows,
Who knows?
God might have pulled through. We have Deshaun who personally
God's
thinks
the
that
goat, bro. He pulled through.
That
Clutch.
God is the big spaghetti monster in the sky. Okay, so we are going to continue, and we will be right back with the next batch of paragraphs.
It was a faulty rope. That man dies. You touch him. Jesus Christ.
Kill him. I hope the next rope is faulty so we can do it 3 times. All right, we're back. So we're just going to continue on. We got a couple more paragraphs. We got a little epilogue to this fellow. We're going to see how the trial goes, and then we're going to see how this all wraps up. But starting with, there now began an acrimonious controversy lasting many years between Florida governors and church officials as to whether Ranson was entitled to ecclesiastical immunity. They said that word so many times, and I can't believe I forgot it. Ecclesiastical immunity, or whether he should be turned over to civil authorities who would carry out the death sentence or enforce some lesser penalty. Immediately after, Ranson was carried to the convent. An official sent by Governor Cabrera appeared at the entrance where he was unequivocally denied custody of Ranson, or, for that matter, even admittance to the convent itself.
That's crazy.
The governor was threatened with excommunication should he in any way violate the immunity of the convent. They're going hard. They're looking at the governor, and they're going, "You will go to hell."
We're kicking you out, dude. No communion, no nothing.
Super hell for Governor Cabrera.
1 trillion years.
Instead, Cabrera, venting his spleen where he unquestionably had authority, summarily discharged some of the soldiers who had been Ranson's execution guard and stationed others at the most distant and unpleasant posts. He then pointed out to his superiors that this experienced and notorious pirate might flee the convent at a moment's notice and disclose to his nefarious comrades in Carolina how to seize St. Augustine, because it's gone so far so well with takes 1 and 2. In reality, Cabrera intimated Ranson was not a Catholic, had not his companions defamed the mission at the mouth of the St. John's River. Hey, we've been to that river.
Oh, sweet.
And violated the images by cutting off their heads, hands, and feet. This heretic was not worthy of ecclesiastical immunity. But the governor was frustrated at every turn in trying to have Ranson released. And when Cabrera left Florida for good in 1687, he was just like, "All right, I'm done." The fugitive was still safely within the convent walls. Ranson Chad stay winning.
Oh, yeah.
After the new governor, Diego de Quiroga y Losada, I'm so sorry if everything I've said so far is horrifically wrong, took office, and after heated tempers bad partially cooled, a somewhat more satisfactory agreement was reached. Work on the new stone Castillo de San Marcos had been going on since 1672, but still there was much to be done, and as usual, materials and skilled artisans were scarce. Among his other talents, the resourceful Ranson was trained as a carpenter and an engineer. Quiroga was more than willing to grant Ranson safe conduct if he would live and work in the Castillo, as the other English prisoners had done before being sent to Spain. In the late 1680s, therefore, Ranson moved his residence from the convent to the Castillo, the interior of which he had not seen since the trying days before his execution. So he's back in. It's like
You think the monks missed him?
like, there's our boy. He was probably super chill, like, before the garroting.
I mean, I feel like if the monks are taking you and you kind of by necessity have to be like super chill afterwards, like they're like putting their feet on your like ottoman and whatnot, and you're just like, yeah, that's okay. Thanks for letting me stay here, guys.
Yeah, it's very cool. So we got our next discussion questions here. Some crazy ones. This was a crazy couple paragraphs. What are your thoughts regarding how the church was able to just totally shut down the governor through the threat of excommunication? What does this account reflect regarding the power of religion in these institutions and these societies at the time? And well, I guess we could just start there. What do you fellas think about that? The church is acting like the mafia right now. Ain't that crazy?
That's just how it was, dude. This is the 1600s. This is after the 30 Years' War and the Counter-Reformation. They're trying to like get their game back on about this whole we own the state kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't blame them. I feel like if you're really that convinced the guy's like a miracle from God, having him killed would be like the worst omen of all time ever.
Because that is crazy that it just breaks.
Yeah.
You know, Deshaun, what do you think?
I personally think that it was crazy that the church pretty much overthrew the well, I kind of figured for the church to overthrow the governor like that. But I wasn't expecting to that high of a degree to pretty much excommunicate him and cut him out of the city, pretty much.
Yeah, they're literally going, if you take him, it's hell for eternity. You're done. You're gone. Go be a Protestant. So that's literally what they're saying to this man.
The second you take him, your name will be forgotten.
Go do Calvinism.
It's like that NBA reaction image, just like get ready to learn Chinese, buddy. It's like get ready to learn Swiss, buddy.
And then so we go to the following. This is the last question. Then we got like the last couple paragraphs, and then we good to wrap it up. This has been a very insightful discussion, fellas. I've really enjoyed it. Do you agree with the eventual verdict that Ranson should simply be sent to work on the castle where he was almost destroyed? Do you think he was let off easy considering his history of alleged brutality, or do you agree with this new compromise?
I feel like if you think you're going to anger God by killing a guy, it's probably best to kind of let him off easy. If you're that certain, I feel like if they killed him, there would be kind of a big... For one thing, the guy who killed him would get excommunicated. Governor would get executed. Like, we'd probably see a whole papal bull about it or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, like, I feel like it was kind of the best compromise for everyone. It's like he's getting paid. He's stacking money. He's helping build the castle. He's
being a productive member of society.
Yeah.
He's giving back.
They're reintegrating him.
Yes, exactly. What do you think, Deshaun?
I think it's good that they... I do think it's good if they let him, work on the castle, do his own thing. Whereas he still does have limitations, but he's at least helping around. Like, letting him off easy like that was a good choice, especially towards the city, the church, and if the executioner or governor ever tried to touch him or hurt him, they'd pretty much just be let off, shunned from the city.
Yeah, they're throwing like bricks through the governor's house every day that he's sitting in the convent.
I will say though, it is a little funny for a guy to be pretty much hung up just for poking a guy and stunning him amongst a few.
No, he did a lot more than that, Deshaun. He did he was very much a very brutal pirate. He killed a lot of people.
Yeah, and I mean, had the raid not gone awry, the plan was to once again pillage all of St. Augustine
and kill everyone. Yeah, no.
Okay, so then I feel like that's.
It wasn't the stick thing, dude.
Dang, I was hoping it was a stick thing.
It was like that was a minor note in sort of the I don't know, the list here.
So now, do you want to kill him?
No.
No?
No. I feel like he at least...
Liberal.
Got us bleeding heart here.
I do believe, he should still work on the castle. I don't think he should be killed for it. At least not yet. Hear him out.
Not yet.
Give him 2 days.
The fence-sitting position of should we murder this guy?
Just wait till he starts messing up the castle a little bit, then just off him right then there.
Yeah, dude, that's so he's just working as an undercover. Like he's still got the pirate spirit in him. Just every brick he's laying, he's like, my boys are coming back.
My boys are coming back. The boys are back in town.
I was a Protestant the whole time.
Good shame. We're gonna kill everyone.
Just last second kill him before he gets any other plans.
The boys are back in town to kill you.
All right. Well, let's hit up these final couple paragraphs here, and then we'll wrap up this wonderful little educational discussion.
All right.
We'll see you when I find them. We're back, and we got the last closing paragraphs for you, the nice little epilogue of Andrew Ranson. It's going to be a nice, wonderful, full circle kind of conclusion here. After 1700, there were far more pressing problems for Florida officials than who would have jurisdiction over the vexatious Ranson. True, there were no more pirate raids, and in reality, the colorful age of piracy was rapidly coming to a close. The most threatening menace was the fact that once again Spain was at war with England, and once again Spanish possessions and shipping in the New World were subject to attack at a moment's notice. This was painfully verified in Florida when Governor Moore of South Carolina, with a combined force of militia and Indians, swept down on the peninsula, captured the city of St. Augustine, and then laid siege to the more formidable Castillo.
Wait, did he like take a boat down there, or did he just walk from North Carolina to Florida?
I think they just walked down there pissed as hell.
Oh my God! Can you imagine how humid? Just like every step you take, it's more and more humid. It's just you're just like, by the time you get in Georgia, it's like this can't get much worse.
When I get there, I'm killing everyone I see.
Like your underwear is soaked through with that humidity sweat.
Dude, this 1700 swamp ass.
God, man, you're like right. You haven't had good food in like weeks. By the time you get down there, dude, I'm done. You're all done. You're all done for. I'm killing everybody.
We're just done. We're laying siege,
dude. I don't care about your fryers. I don't care about whatever cultural possessions we need to preserve.
Yeah.
I'm not even here for the money, man. You're just gonna die.
I'm not even pillaging anymore. This is catharsis for me.
Screw your fort. Screw your homes. I'm just gonna kill you all.
They just destroyed everything for a third time.
Oh, surely this time our fort will be protected, eh, man? Yeah, sure, man.
It's like the Three Little Piggies. They finally made the brick one, and then the wolf comes back with an anti-tank rifle and just demolishes. Except it's just some fat ass from South Carolina. They were too busy looking for pirates.
Boy, I say we are going to blow your town to smithereens, I tell you what.
This is even South Carolina now. Sickness, lack of sufficient artillery, dissension in his command, and Spanish reinforcements, however, all proved the Carolinians' undoing. After burning the city, Moore and his disgruntled troops retreated northward. So they didn't even get it. They just burned the city, and they're like, all right, good enough, I guess. That's fine.
Whatever.
We got what we wanted. During the crucial 2-month siege of the Castillo, Ranson, certainly no stranger there, once again lived within its massive, is it Cocina?
I believe it was Coquina.
Coquina, that was my first guess. Walls, because the undermanned Spanish garrison was hard-pressed merely to defend the Castillo. There were no extra soldiers to guard Ranson and the other prisoners. To serve a double purpose, that of relieving Spanish troops from guard duty and of providing more manpower for the common defense, Governor José de Zúñiga y Cerda, I think, maybe, held out the prospect of freedom to prisoners who acquitted themselves honorably against the enemy. Ranson, along with others, willingly accepted the offer, and he served as interpreter, interrogating captured prisoners and in other ways aiding Zúñiga. Shortly after the siege was broken, the governor acknowledged and praised the conduct of the prisoners and recommended that Ransom and others be granted their freedom. So they were good little boys.
Oh.
Now the controversial, complicated career of Andrew Ranson, the last English buccaneer to plague St. Augustine, becomes hazy to the historian. It is probable that the king, in his relief over the deliverance of St. Augustine, approved granting the prisoners their liberty. Then Ranson, now in his 50s, perhaps returned to his wife in the Indies. Or possibly decided to spend his remaining days in Florida with the boys.
With the new wife.
With new wife, new Florida wife, new swamp creature. All this, of course, is conjecture. But one thing is certain. Ranson, who for almost 2 decades had been living in dread of having his death sentence carried out, by one means or another had escaped execution. On the other hand, LaMotta never was able to convince authorities that Ranson's deliverance was a wondrous miracle wrought by divine hands.
How sad.
Indeed, the evidence seems logical and conclusive that the rope used in the, you know what? I don't care. Garrote was worn and defective, and for this reason broke when too much tension was applied. Even so, one wonders whether Ranson, who had experienced hearing his death sentence pronounced, who had actually been escorted to his public place of execution, and who had felt the rope tighten around his neck until he lost consciousness, would concur in such a rational explanation. And that is the story of Andrew Ranson.
Imagine living your life after that. That's crazy, dude. You're just having nightmares where you start drowning and nothing can stop.
Yeah.
Like, that's got to give you some crazy PTSD.
Yeah, it genuinely is a little insane. Or it could go like the other way, where he gets like, you know,
Cocky.
a real ego about it. He's like, I got God protection, dude. My guardian angel's working double time. So that's the end of his story. Nice little happy ending for our horrific, brutal pirate pillager, Andy. The reason I chose him is because his name is also Andy.
That's what I figured.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of this story before we get to our last discussion questions?
I thought that was fascinating.
I thought it was pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, it was. I really liked that one. That was like my favorite little character study from all the units we had that we were looking through. So I thought it'd be a good one to maybe introduce some you know,
Jolly good show.
some friends of mine, maybe some people in the audience at home if they want to get into pirate history. I thought this would have been a good, fun one to start with.
I want to start raiding the seas.
So true, so true. We could bring it back.
Bring it back.
Bring it back, and we'll get to our final discussion questions, and then we will wrap it up, and that will be perfect timing.
They should make a Mad Max for the ocean.
Mad Max for the ocean?
Yeah, like a Mad Max movie, like, you know, Road Warrior, but for the ocean. Because it's not like the Coast Guard's going to be doing anything after the apocalypse. Like, I feel like maybe that's Waterworld. I've never seen Waterworld, though.
Yeah, I haven't seen Waterworld either.
I heard it's a stinker.
I hope it's a lot like Waterboy. They should do a crossover. Waterboy and Waterworld. It'd be a dream come true.
We don't need your water, boy. We're surrounded by it.
It's salt water! You can't drink it! Okay, so the last questions, just some silly little closers. We now know that the final years of Andrew Ranson's life seemed quite unclear to the historians, but out of the outcomes we were presented, which seems most likely to you guys? Do you think he returned home to live his final years with his wife, or do you think he lived out his old age with the boys in Florida, getting down in the swamps, having fun in the bogs?
I feel like at that point your life has changed so radically and so thoroughly that, like, there's no way to go back. Like, your wife's probably remarried. You know, I mean, this is England. Divorce is chill now.
You go back. You go back home from like cheating death, and then your wife has cheated you. That'd be rough.
That'd suck. Like, I feel like at that point it's just like you're too old to remarry. You're too old to like go back to royalty. Your name's probably forever sullied. You know, you can't exactly go back to England since you did the whole "Mother Mary, save me, please" routine.
But do you think he could get how some like serial killers will get like love letters while they're in jail? Do you think he could go over there and be like, you know, I tried to destroy all of St. Augustine and I got away with it, you know?
I feel like it's got to be worth something in the whole pickup artist scene.
True. Andrew Ranson, the world's first pickup artist. Deshaun, what do you think? Do you think he went home do you think he stayed on the work site, or do you think he returned to wife?
Honestly, I think he went home. I don't think he returned at all. I don't think he would return at all, considering what's happened, how he's probably contemplating his actions, and possibly going through a schizophrenic episode or paranoia.
Wait, so do you think he went home or he didn't go home?
I think he went home.
So he went back to his wife.
Oh, no, sorry. I got completely confused.
So did I.
I think he just, I think he just might have stayed, but just might have been contemplating what he's done.
Just thinking about it?
That and freaking out.
That's maybe, he probably did just live the last, rest of his life just in a husk. Just like,
waking up from screaming from nightmares every day. There's no AC, so he's just waking up sweaty as all get out, just like...
Yeah, because the second, you get, you know, a miracle happens and you cheat death and you live, you got to be thinking okay, God is definitely real, and I'm for sure going to hell thinking about the pirate stuff I did.
I really got to bounce back here.
Yeah, do you think he had a heel turn? Do you think he came back?
He pulled a Jimmy Carter and just started building houses for people and stuff.
Yeah, built some nice peanut farms.
Yeah.
We can only hope. I think how funny would it be if like he went back to his wife and then he like spent like 3 weeks there and he was like, damn, I miss the swamp.
I miss it.
I gotta go back. After all that, can you imagine if he just raids it again?
Dude, all right, look, I know I messed up a few times, but hear me out. We raided again. We're gonna try this again for the 4th time.
It's just like 3 kids in the village. Don't parents suck? Don't you want to pillage?
Yeah, here, listen, this is a flintlock. Oh my God. Okay, so we got 2 kids.
It was half our men. Okay. Last questions, and then we're done with this nightmare. Okay, what insight can we glean from this story about pirate? Is there anything that we can take from this and use it in any broader implications? Anything we can maybe use in the modern times to think, or just anything to think about? Really, anything that might change your perspective?
I haven't heard about a miracle in a minute. That's my main takeaway.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's cheated death recently.
Yeah.
I think. Hi, Dylan. Andy's roommate has joined us.
My roommate just got home. He has no idea we're doing a cool podcast.
But no. I mean, I feel like it just like our only lesson is maybe take away how much the power of the church has been balanced out in like the last century or so. Because that's crazy. You could just overturn a governor.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore. I'm not saying it's good that you could do that, but you can't exactly just pull one of those numbers. I can't exactly imagine like John McGee or whatever at your local non-denominational being like, if you touch that man, God hates you.
Yeah, it definitely it would be it'd be quite something. It is crazy to think about that back then the church was basically just the mafia. They'd just be like, no, he's fine. He's with us.
He's cool.
He's cool. Deshaun, what about you? Any final thoughts on all this? Any insights? What'd you learn?
Honestly, I can't exactly remember much, but...
Oh, God.
But...
Was the last hour for naught, Deshaun?
Dude, I'm tired. I'm going to be honest.
You're never getting your master's. You're the worst teacher ever.
I'm getting an F on this. This is going to be a 0.
You taught Deshaun nothing. 0. At the end of like a PhD, your final assignment is you have to like teach Deshaun something.
You failed. You're not getting your PhD.
Dude, that's so crazy. An hour of talking about this story. So, Deshaun, what'd you learn? I didn't learn anything.
But really, dang it, Andy. I would probably just say that it is crazy that the church overthrew the government so easily. And right now, actually, main thing I'm thinking of is probably what the executioner might be thinking of, how the rope snap and what this is going to mean for him.
Yeah. Andrew Ranson's situation is crazy.
Where am I going to go?
That's the title of this podcast.
Am I executor next?
With a Twitter drama like thumbnail where you're just like, you can't see, but I was putting my hand on my head with my mouth agape.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and with that, we have gone for about an hour, and I think that's perfect for a final project podcast. Jack is hungry, so we're going to leave you all. Later. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and I hope we made learning fun for you. We hope you got a nice little, maybe a new interest in pirate history. Maybe you want to look into this guy. Maybe you want to look into some of the other wonderful stories. Maybe you want to raid St. Augustine. Maybe you want to take notes on their plans, see where they went wrong, how they can improve. Maybe you want to call up me. Maybe you want to hit me up, send me a message in the YouTube comment section. I'll give you my Telegram. We can work something out.
They should make a Heat, the movie Heat, obviously. Right?
Yeah, of course.
They should do that, but for the second raid of St. Augustine, just that one specifically.
They should do Ocean's 11, but it's raiding St. Augustine. All right, we're gonna leave it there. Thank you so much for listening. Please give me an A. I work so hard.
He does. He tries really hard.
So hard. All right.
Thank you.
Goodbye,
Good night.
everyone.
Can I go to sleep now?
No.